You're listening to Mondays Unfiltered, the podcast for anyone who's accepted that work is inevitably work. We're your hosts, Heather and Kristin. We break down burnout, baffling policies, and corporate chaos with dry humor and real solutions. Grab your coffee and whatever optimism survived the weekend, Mondays have begun. A little about us. Chris spent decades helping executives shape brands and craft messages that inspire, and I built systems that actually made those visions work behind the scenes and kept people from falling apart in the process. Thanks for joining us today. We are on point today. It's a good Monday.
We are cooking with gas.
Yeah,
I love that saying.
that is a good one.
That's from the 20s, I think.
Is it really interesting?
Uh-huh.
Speaking of the 20s, we're going the opposite direction. We're talking about AI today. And we're talking about interviewing or experiences of interviewing with AI. So
Yes.
what stats do you have for us today?
According to Fast Company article, in 2025, 20%, which I think is kind of low, of companies said they were using AI to conduct at least initial interviews. So I thought that was kind of
I guess it
a low
depends
stat.
in what form. Like, is it like online when you fill out an application, there's 5 questions. If you don't fit this category, you're eliminated. Is that the form that they're using, or is it an actual interview where there's like video content and you're interacting with an AI?
But I take it as the latter,
Okay.
because I've actually had interviews for consulting companies
Mm.
like that or consulting gigs. So you kind of go through your dog and pony show. It's an AI bot that is interviewing you. You're being videoed. It can be either one or the other. It can be sort of guided, or you go through like a video process
Mm-hmm. I've
where
seen a
you
lot of companies
answer.
ask for a video.
Pardon me?
I've seen a lot of companies ask for a
Yeah.
video now.
Oh, I've been through like a sequence of like five different, here's a question, video your answer.
Mm.
And you have three tries, you know, pick the best one. And you have a minute or 3 minutes or whatever that is. Yeah.
Mm.
So we'll get into this later, but there's actual tips on how to prep for those interviews.
Good.
And there's actual um, uh, um,
Like
prepping
trainings?
tips,
Yeah.
training. Yeah.
Okay.
But I did, Reddit is now my new go-to for, unfiltered, lots of comments. The threads are extensive. I could spend time in all of these threads all day, and I don't have time to do that. Um, so it was, opinions, and we'd love to hear from you guys. Opinions were split.
Mm.
Some people said, hey, they like it. Some people said they didn't. And some people that said they liked it is that they don't have to play, scheduling shuffle with an interviewer. Some
Mm.
people that don't like it don't
That
like.
I can totally see. Yeah.
Yeah, especially if you're in the early stages
Mm-hmm.
and it's back and forth, back and forth. I can see there being a benefit, especially because a lot of the jobs that I used to go for, when you're a tech sales job, oh my gosh, you go through this whole process. And at least from the company perspective, they can check out what your answers are. And if you're a salesperson, you're in on Zoom and in front of people all the time, so they need to see how you are
Yeah.
on video. I could see it being a pain in the behind for somebody. Let's say you're a programmer
Yeah.
and you're
And
quiet,
yeah, exactly. Or you're neurodivergent.
right?
There's so many people that are like have a hard enough time interacting. Well, maybe it would be better for them because there's no emotional connection to it.
Yeah.
You're not in the presence of someone where you might be feeling judged if you have anxiety about, what people think of you.
You know what? That's a really interesting viewpoint because I do have like an extra sensitivity to people's moods
Mm-hmm.
and stuff. And so if I get somebody on the phone that and they could have had a bad day in and of themselves, but I can pick up on that. I can pick up on that. Whereas in
Yeah.
a video interview, you're kind of like auditioning.
Yeah.
Um, but it was definitely, there was definitely a split opinion about whether they liked it or not. I think what I don't like, and again, I'm older, maybe younger people who are, I don't spend all my time on
Yeah.
TikTok or Instagram, you know.
Yeah.
I like to talk to people. I like to have that go. Um, some people might be more comfortable, like you said, they're neurodivergent or they're just comfortable with that medium.
Yeah.
So there was definitely a split about that.
Yeah, and I mean, you can't ask for a further example of a question. Like, if you don't fully understand, I don't know that you'd be like, I'm not sure. Give me an example of what you're talking about, where you have like live play against someone where you can ask a question if you don't fully understand the question. But in an AI or in a digital interview, you're limited on that.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, some people found that dehumanizing, and but you're kind of segueing naturally into the tips
Okay.
that I pulled. Um, so there's a couple of things. It said, prep is different now. So prepare yourself to answer the AI questions.
Hmm.
And so they suggest that you paste the exact job description into an AI tool and type in, based on this job description and my resume, what are the top 10 behavioral and technical questions I will be asked?
Mm.
I thought that
I do
was
a
really good.
similar recommendation when I work with people. I tell them to take their resume and the job posting that they're going to interview for and ask AI to interview them as if they were the director of the department. What type of questions might they be asked so that they have prepared answers for standardized or typical type questions that could be asked on an interview. So it's similar to that, but from the reverse perspective.
No, that's a smart tip. Because again, adjacent to that, it said use AI to optimize your stories using the STAR method,
Hmm.
which is the situation, task, action, and result.
Hmm.
Making sure to emphasize specifics, data-backed achievements.
Yeah.
It also suggested ask AI to summarize the company's product lines to
Yeah.
help you fill in knowledge gaps, identify their competitors, explain industry specific challenges.
Yeah.
Um,
You basically have to study for your job
you
interview.
you
I
do.
mean,
And if you
back,
want the job,
yeah. When I was
it's for
interviewing
helping you prepare
people, I
for it.
often would say, "What do you know about us?" to see if they went on the website and checked it out.
Yeah, I mean, I interviewed for a job about a year and a half ago, maybe not quite that long ago. And it wasn't in my industry. I was the second person in, like, they would have chosen me if they're the person they chose who was from the industry. Um, and I was kind of glad because I was starting my consulting company. I thought, well, I'll just do this job while I'm starting this, but it would have been too much. It was a really intense job. And they said, wow, you're really prepped for this really, really well. And I had to give a presentation. And I loved doing that kind of stuff.
You had to
Like to
give a
me, it was
presentation, like for
all
sales?
salespeople, all people have to do sales presentations when you're a sales, especially in software sales. Yeah, they want to see how you present.
Wow.
But I didn't know the industry that well, but I studied for it like it was a class.
Yeah.
And I had a lot of fun doing it. Um, so if anybody needs help prepping for job interviews, Heather and I can do that for you because I love doing it. And
Yeah, for
we're
resumes
too
and
like,
interviews. I'm a nerd for resumes and interviews. I could talk about
yeah,
them all day
I should have
long.
you look at mine.
Okay.
Um, yeah, because I also like to buy cars. So I like to research so much about cars
Hmm.
that anyway. So it also said give 3 to 5 sentence paragraphs and use numbered logical steps whenever possible. It doesn't mean you have to go number one, it just means be logical. It's kind of like the STAR method. Be authentic, which I thought that was the funniest tip. It tells you to be authentic with an AI bot.
I know. And it's such an overused term right now. Like, you're authentic by who you are, but like I know the meaning behind it, like don't use someone else's words, put it in your own words. Like it reminds me of being in school, not to plagiarize, and especially with AI, the biggest thing that I share with people is know what's on your resume inside and out. Don't let someone else write it for you and not know the content. You have to know what's in there because you have to be able to tell the stories behind it, and that's where authenticity comes in.
That's a really good point. I love how you just put that because it's like you have to tell the stories
Yeah.
that are in there. You have to live them. I was just redoing my consulting um, resume, and I'm getting ready to do my website. And sometimes I just want to go, I just wish somebody else could do this for me.
I mean, they
And
can, but you just have to know what the content is because you have to be able to speak to it.
yeah, but you're right. You have to know what you're putting down. You can't just abdicate the responsibility to somebody by yourself. And
Right.
that's the same thing for, job prepping, as onerous as it is. I don't really know how much, so I'd love to know if our viewers know this, how a lot of these AI tools are being used
Yeah.
by HR in terms of, okay, we're gonna send out the AI interview to 20 people for this job, and then it analyzes something and then it
Yeah, I mean,
whittles
I know
them
for
down.
sure they're using them to weed out resumes, almost like 99% of organizations do. Um, if
I'm
yours
talking about the
submitting,
actual interviews.
yeah. So I don't know, like that surprised me when you said you had actually been in an AI interview. Um, I would think the organization would have to be a little bit larger in order to be able to implement and run something like that. And it is possible that placement agencies are using them.
Yeah, I think so. I don't know. Like I said, mine was more for they were interviewing for consultants.
Hmm.
So it was to be part of the consulting team.
Hmm.
And I did make it. And then uh, one of them was stupid. And I ended up saying, no, thank you. You don't need to put me on your roster because what you did was a complete bait and
Stupid.
switch. And I was angry because I'm like, if I had been
Wasted
able
your
to talk,
time.
waste so much time, if I've been able to talk to a human being, I would have
Yeah,
determined that what they're placing is not
that's
what
a
I
really
was
good
looking to
point.
do.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there, one of the myths is that people are thinking, oh, does AI actually choose the candidate? And that's a myth. It's not. At some point, the team,
Yeah,
human beings choose them.
right. And but they're being chosen from what makes it past the AI weeding system.
Right.
So you might be discarded when if somebody was actually looking at it, maybe they would have potentially selected you based on, if a human reviewed something. Like I remember, and a lot of times I'm still doing resumes for people that I'm working with, where I'm reviewing their resume, doing interviews on their behalf, and things that I see they might not see as the owners, where they're like, they haven't done this industry before, but because I recognize transferable skills, I say you might want to interview this person based on these qualifications, where it's shown up in other ways, where an AI likely isn't doing that unless you're hitting keywords, you're being discarded.
Right. Um, well, so it's interesting. So I was like, okay, so what are the gotchas for the companies? And me coming from data and privacy and data and customer data and being very sensitive to privacy, it was interesting. So they said, be careful with biometric screening tools. Um, Platforms that use photo ID verification, facial recognition, and voice matching to ensure the candidate is the same person who takes the job and completes the assessment. So
Yeah.
you have to have disclaimers, and I would assume any tool that a company uses builds in those privacy disclaimers into the permissions. So you have to have permissions. You got to be careful about browser and tracking devices. Um, you can detect unauthorized screen sharing, secondary devices. I don't know why that would be the case. Would some
Well,
people have somebody on the offline helping them with this?
it very well could be, but then what it also makes me think of, I talked to someone recently that hired a not person. It took them a month to
What?
figure
A
out
what?
they hired
A
basically
bot?
a computer. Yeah. So it took them a
Where
month to
was
figure it
that?
out. I can't remember, and I wouldn't want to disclose who it was, but it was someone in my local network that I was speaking to that they had told me they hired a computer and it took them a month to figure out. It was overseas and it was in the payroll process that they figured it out. But they had paid for a month of employment.
So is this like a new scam?
Yeah.
Oh my God. So basically that 1 month just went into into some place, which is kind
Lessons
of,
learned.
you know what? There's some divine justice in that in a sense, because you're using all this AI to screen people,
Yeah.
and your AI bot hires an AI bot and you pay nothing. And you don't get, oh my gosh, that's hilarious.
I was like,
Well, and I
what?
mean, you also have to be careful too, because we can be lackadaisical about, we're having an AI um, interview, and we're home and we have people around us. I know somebody that somebody was caught on screen in that person's household walking by naked
I was just gonna say naked.
out of the shower
When I first set up my
because,
office, I had my computer on the back wall because I wanted to look out the window. My husband was like, that's got to get moved.
yeah. Yeah, because like, but this was a real thing. Like they had video
Yeah.
of this person's spouse walking across the screen butt
Hmm.
naked.
I
I
remember.
don't know. What does an AI bot do with it when that happens?
Yeah, well, and like you said, it's holding on to video, submitting video. Like I'm assuming someone's reviewing this stuff, like as a person reviewing the content that is recorded on these interviews in order to get to the next level. But like I don't know, like what the parameters would be to make someone acceptable in an AI interview to be moved on for review confirmation to go to the next stage. Like, do they have to watch the video or is it summarized based on like there's so many possibilities. I don't know. It's intriguing.
It is intriguing. At some point, somebody has to be like, clearly the company that you mentioned that they hired a computer, no one was watching it. Again, it was sort of divine justice. Um, so you know what, that might, maybe I'll do some research on this and we'll talk about this in a subsequent podcast, but interesting. Um, so they have all kinds of tools like script reading detection. So clearly that, again, the company that you mentioned that hired a bot, that's how I'm going to put it just to make it easier to
Hmm.
describe.
Hmm.
They have advanced proctoring tools, specific conversational agents that analyze speech cadence. And I don't know, we used to use, and I loved this tool, Gong.io. So salespeople, it would help you monitor the reactions of your clients, like as a salesperson, so you could see what you're doing. It
Micro
also,
expressions.
yeah, it also would monitor, are you talking too much? Are you asking enough questions of your client? Oh yeah, you'd get a report back that said you're doing more talking than your client is, because you always want your
Oh,
client to do more
right, right,
talking.
right, right.
It'll do eye movement tracking. But anyways, it was interesting because there was a lot of tips that said, be careful of the privacy violations, that kind of thing. But again, would love some, if anybody from HR that does recruiting can tell us how these tools work, that would be great. But I might start doing some research on that just for fun.
Yeah.
Um,
But just basically what it comes down to, be prepared. Whether you're meeting with a person or meeting with an AI, make sure that you're well prepared for your interview because at some point someone's going to be reviewing it. There's going to be personal interaction at some point potentially with your employment. So um, just be aware that probably your first at least one, maybe two interviews could be driven through AI.
right, right. And I mean, the prep tools are good regardless of whether you're going to meet with a human the first time or
Yeah,
whether or not. I
absolutely.
mean, to your point, it is almost amazing to talk to people who are in interviews and they know nothing about the company. Like, I
It was
mean,
always the first question I would ask is, what do you know about this organization?
yeah. So let's end this with our movie quote because this is really applicable to your
Okay.
example.
All right.
Um, and you're never going to guess this because I've never heard of this movie.
Okay.
But it says she loves what you do for her, but she does not love you, David. She cannot love you. You are neither flesh nor blood.
It makes me think of the TV show I, Robot, or was that was a movie with Will Smith, I, Robot.
That or
No.
wasn't that weird science? That's really
I
old.
love Weird Science. I should watch that today. I love that movie.
I haven't seen that in years. And no, it was a movie, I think from the 60s called Gigolo Joe.
Oh.
I thought it had to do with a robot. I don't know if the gigolo is a robot
Now I'm intrigued.
or is it was a real gigolo. So, anyways,
Gigolo Joe. Okay.
yeah. Now I gotta go look up that one. It's probably a really boring movie though. Um, So just write us. We'd love to hear from you on this subject. Has anybody had any AI interviews? Does anybody
And
know what
even more
happens?
intriguing would have you gone through an AI interview into success where you've acquired a job.
Yes.
I'd be curious.
Yes. All points bulletin for that. We'd love to know that. So, love to know more about the background of it and if you've been successful through that whole process. And with us, you can always stay unfiltered. So, reach out to
mondaysunfiltered@gmail.com. And until next
until
time,
next time. Stay unfiltered. Actually, stay filtered.
no, no, unfiltered.
Unfiltered with us, but filter what you say in an interview. So
Or you will be
I was I was
negated.
trying to be funny. Anyway,
We'll see you next
until
time.
then. That's it for this episode of Mondays Unfiltered. If something today made you laugh, think, cringe, or finally question the workplace norms you've been conditioned to accept, good. That's where change begins. If you enjoyed the conversation, hit subscribe, share the episode with someone who deserves a better Monday, and help us push the movement towards healthier, more human workplaces. And we want to hear your stories, the surprises, the successes, the dysfunction, the burnout, the breakthroughs. Just send them our way. Your experience might shape a future episode. And remember, we can do better, we can be better, and we don't have to tolerate BS just because it feels familiar. Until next week, stay curious, stay courageous, and stay unfiltered.